new age, in depth, using crystals for protection, for to ward off evil, for enlightenment, to bring about psychic awareness, to place on chakras, thinking you're going to open them up and use the energy from the crystals. This whole thing is relying on energy with crystals. I had a crystal heart rose quartz, a pendant made for myself because I believed it was going to draw love. I was also manifesting at the time my spouse, my future spouse. But people are going to crystals all the time for protection. They believe it's going to protect them from negativity, from illness, all sorts of things. Billy, it's really scary, and it's
It,
big.
it, it is scary, and it's interesting because this history apparently goes back hundreds and thousands of years. This is not a new practice of seeing these stones as having some sort of power. I mean, it almost sounds on the surface almost laughable or ridiculous, but yet many people, this is a very real practice for them. You talked about your own practice there, and I don't know a lot about the different stones, but I know rose quartz is one, obviously, for creating relationships, and there are a number of other ones that are out there that people use. Let me throw the number out at you, because we were given some statistics by Springtide Research that 44% of young people, 44% between the ages of 13 and 25, are using crystals and herbs. What is your reaction to that statistic?
Wow. Wow. I'm heartbroken by that to start, because it just shows how deceptive the devil is, number one, and how he's not even hiding. These kids are so exposed to witchcraft these days, and they're really looking for something. They're really looking to feel better. They're really looking for identity. They're looking for love. They're looking for all the things that only God can do. But they're not hearing about God. They're hearing about crystals, and it's glamorous and it's trendy, and it's spiritually dangerous. It's witchcraft, Billy. It's witchcraft, because you are invoking, once you go to that crystal and you think you're going to manifest something from that, whether it's health, protection, increase your happiness, increase your wealth, what have you, self-confidence. You are invoking demons, because the demons are the ones that have the power. I have to tell you, the crystal is a rock that God created. It can't do any of those things for you.
Well, let's go there, because what you just
Yeah, she brings up some very good points here. So she's talking about the crystals and invoking, right, and manifesting. There are a couple books out. I know one is called The Secret, and it talks about manifesting things in the physical. And there's a lot of atheists and a lot of people that had recently just turned Christian talking about this book. And it is basically invoking the universe, manifesting things out of thin air, or, you know, setting your mind on something. This is all witchcraft. People are getting this mistaken that, you know, oh, I can, you know, think something's going to happen and it'll just, you know, poof, happen. What they're doing is they are invoking spirits. They're invoking demons. They aren't turning to God for their needs, their problems. They're turning to rocks. They're turning to books and all these forms of demonic, you know, channeling. She's like I said, she's got a good point. So I'm gonna keep rolling it here.
you're saying is that by putting their faith in that, and correct me if I'm wrong here, by putting their faith in those stones and trying to use them in that way, they're actually attracting evil in that. And that's where they're seeing these quote unquote positive benefits that aren't necessarily positive.
That's right, 100%. You hit the nail on the head. They're making a choice willingly to put their faith and trust in God's creation rather than the creator, rather than God who made those beautiful rocks. And he did make them, and they're beautiful, and that's where it ends. So when you start using them for divination, for witchcraft, and you may not realize that that's what you're doing, but that's what it is. You are invoking demons, and the demons are the ones who are manipulating circumstances, who are planting ideas. And some of these things become almost self-fulfilling, because the demons really can manipulate things around you. And you'll pay attention to those patterns or to those circumstances and make things happen too.
I've heard of this stuff. There was a testimony I was actually listening to a couple of weeks ago about a guy who didn't know the Lord, didn't know Jesus Christ, and he was smoking weed, he was doing hallucinogenics, he was doing all this stuff, right? And then he quit drugs because he was freaked out because he was seeing demons and demons and stuff. And all of a sudden, what he was like thinking about in his mind, or that these voices were telling him in his mind, he couldn't determine which one it was, or if it was from him, or if it was from like these demonic principalities. What they were doing was putting these thoughts into his mind, manipulating his thoughts, and then they would manifest in the physical, right? So they'd be like, oh, this is like an example. Oh, I want an ice cream cone. And then all of a sudden an ice cream truck drives by, right? That's the kind of thing that she's referring to.
Yeah, and this other piece of this puzzle, because when Springtide asked young people, they sort of clumped together this use of crystals and then herbs, and there are a lot of different herbs out there apparently for different things, and it's an interesting conversation because, and I want to separate this out, and feel free to maybe speak to this when I'm done and correct me or add or agree, but it's one thing to use essential oils or to use herbs to heal things that God's given us. We take them because we take vitamins, let's say, that have certain things in them, medicinally or for health. It's another thing to rely on these herbs in a magical sense. Do you want to speak to that at all?
Absolutely. I would say the biggest one that stands out to me, of course, is sage. And that is so trendy. I hate to use that word, but it's true. Sage is actually, burning sage is called smudging, and it was a Native American cultural practice. They believed that they were purifying their space around them, getting rid of negative energy. And of course, that trickles into, clearing your space of demons. As a former psychic medium, that was a part of my ritual before doing readings. We would sage the room. I got hired to smudge people's homes, and I would be channeling. And the idea, again, is that the sage will protect you from demons or from this negative energy. But the truth of the matter is that demons don't care about sage. They're not afraid of sage. They're only afraid of Jesus Christ. So I argue that even going to sage or any other herb, if you will, and you're putting, again, your faith and trust in these items, these created things for your protection, for your spiritual safety, you're invoking, you're attracting. I mean, I'm sure they're laughing. Those demons are laughing at you. You're not protecting.
100%. They are laughing. This is the trick of the devil, right? If you're using sage to, ward off spirits, you see this in like mainstream TV shows too. I noticed this. I don't know why this thought came to me, but I was watching Yellowstone, and this is a big thing in Yellowstone, this saging of all the rooms, right? And getting rid of demons and these evil spirits. I wonder, like, people get this notion that they get rid of demons using this stuff because the demons want you to think that it gets rid of them. But in reality, anytime I've ever seen this stuff actually used, it doesn't get rid of them. It doesn't do anything. And the only thing that gets rid of them, as she said, is invoking the name of Jesus Christ. So I don't know.
Protecting anything. It's a horrible thing to do. It's a horrible idea. Sage is delicious for eating and for cooking. I like to cook. I use sage. Very good. But not, it won't do anything for you in regards to satanic attacks, demonic oppression. If anything, you will become oppressed by using.
All right. So I just had to fast forward a little bit to save some time. Anyway, she just got done explaining that there was a clear defined line when she was practicing this psychic stuff of good and evil. She was seeing, these different demons taking forms of animals and different stuff like that. And then now she's going to break down what she explains as Satan masquerading as an angel of light within, this witchcraft, within this practicing of crystals and all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to play this clip for you.
Oh, 100%. And it makes me think, of 2 Corinthians 11, 14, and 15. Satan masquerades as an angel of light. It's going to have to seem good and look good and appealing and like the solution. And of course, it's the problem and not the solution. I mean, when I was in that divination group that I was in, when we were smudging and we had the crystals in there, we had a lot of people that did crystal readings. I mean, it was a beautiful room with a really nice woman and really nice people, and we all wanted to help other people. I mean, there was nothing sinister looking about it at all. Very deceiving.
It is. Well, and all of this is really, and the thing that, as we sort of round out the conversation on this, because there's so much to unpack, but I think a big question people have when they see statistics and numbers showing that 21% of young people are using these things weekly and that 44% overall are engaging in them. And that's just crystals and herbs.
That is crazy. Just that statistic alone is insane. And actually, like, I believe it. Based on the way the world is right now, we've kicked God out of schools, kicked God out of mainstream media. God just isn't in households anymore. And Satan is promoted in the music industry, in the entertainment business, in Hollywood. You see him everywhere, and he makes it so easy to slip into this stuff. People are lost, right? We got the transgender movement going on. People can't figure out their identities. They don't know what their purpose is. They don't know where they belong. And the real truth, the way, the truth, and the life is through Jesus Christ. But he has gotten rid of that. And we're going to talk about that too, but she's going to explain that as well, as to where we're seeing Satan in the mainstream media and cartoons, and how he's going after the new Gen Z pop and all the new, the new age children that are coming out of this movement.
I think we have the same old problems. The kids have problems. We all have problems, right? So we're always looking for that solution. But in our culture now, they are loaded with witchcraft. It's everywhere you go. Five Below, I call that witchcraft on a budget. Instagram, social media, cinema, the movies, Ouija boards. I mean, it's everywhere. It's on the shows. It's on Netflix. This is our children's culture. This is their culture. As a matter of fact, it's heartbreaking, those numbers, but is it really shocking? I mean, it's heartbreaking, but it's not that shocking. It's everywhere you look. It's every spa. On every street corner now. You have metaphysical shops. Everything's about the crystals. And these kids are going through, I think they're so overstimulated too. They're loaded with anxiety. They're loaded with depression, and they're looking for help, and they're looking to feel better. And this is what their culture, I mean, the devil's not hiding in today's date. I'm not saying that he necessarily was hiding, but he's bold and he's blatant and he's out there, and the kids are exposed to it constantly, and especially on the TV shows, the Kardashians, all the way as young as a cartoon called the Casagrandes, I believe that it was called. There was smudging on there. The abuelo was saying, hey, listen, there's some evil energy in here, an evil spirit. This is how we get rid of him. SpongeBob SquarePants, of course. I talk about that a lot with the CG board, which is the Ouija board.
Even SpongeBob is doing this stuff, man. That's crazy. Like, I've said it before, but parents, if you're a parent, you need to be very much in your child's life, because what we thought was safe, what we thought, as far as cartoons go and what we grew up with, I'm a 90s kid. But what we thought we grew up with was safe. And Satan has worked his way into it. That's going to sum it up for the interview. But what I wanted to say is we have now pushed Judeo-Christian values completely out of the system. It is now out of the movies. It's now out of schools, government, everything. Here and there we get, one or two movies every decade. But society, the reality of it, has created a bubble around today's people, today's children, to the point where God is now on that outside, or on the outside of the bubble, and there is no room for him in this little vacuum that Satan has created. And with that being said, people obviously have a hunger and a thirst for being something greater than themselves, finding, purpose, truth, and they don't even, like, what I guess I'm trying to say is they don't even get the opportunity to find that. Like, God and Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, the life, but they're not even getting the opportunity to find Christ because Christ has been kicked out of society. And what does that leave the door open to? You know what I mean? It's going to lead to using demonic witchcraft, crystals, sage, all the stuff that we just talked about, because people have that hunger. We are wonderfully and fearfully made, right? We want to have a sense of something greater. We want to know our creator. We want to know our purpose and where we came from. But people don't have the opportunity to find Jesus because he has been taken out of that bubble. And now they are turning to demonic witchcraft and the occult. And we are seeing a rise of the occult. You're seeing it in after school clubs now. You got the Church of Satan showing up and starting clubs like for after school events for kids. It's everywhere. Like she said, it's in cartoons, it's in movies. I get on Netflix. I swear 50% of the shows are demonic or have some form of witchcraft or wizardry or sorcery. Like it's like Harry Potter on steroids, but in demonic form. It's crazy, man, how much this stuff is out there and how much it's taking over our culture. And people just don't want to see it. Like they are spiritually blind, and it's sad. And I pray for the world that we live in. And I just hope that you guys find the Lord Jesus Christ. And if you haven't, please turn to him. You will find no love greater, no love deeper, and he will truly change your life and give you a sense of purpose, and you will have total and utter peace in him. Guys, that's going to wrap up today's video. Please hit that like button, subscribe. It will greatly help out my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.